Welcome to Venture with Joe and Cody, where we take a deep dive into the minds of leaders and innovators making a real impact today. I'm Joe.
And I'm Cody. And we're here to bring you the raw stories, the successes, and the setbacks that these trailblazers have experienced in their journey to where they are today.
Every week, we sit down with a new guest who's ready to share their insight and advice on business, entrepreneurship, and making a difference in their community. From local community members to industry experts, you're going to get the unfiltered truth behind their success.
So whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, a seasoned professional, or just curious about the business world, join us for a journey of learning and inspiration.
So let's grab a drink, settle in, and let's get started. This is Venture with Joe and Cody. Hey guys, we're back with another episode of Venture with Joe and Cody. My name is Joe Skipper, owner of Skipper Realty Group, brokered by eXp Realty, and my friend Cody Wilhelm with Residential Mortgage is here. What's going on, man?
That is right. I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. You got me thinking. This is going to sound weird to people that just came on, but what are you going to be for Halloween? Do you dress up? Do you not dress up?
I do.
Okay.
I do dress up. I usually cycle through a few different outfits.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of what I was last year. Well, I will say trick-or-treating with the kids is usually a different costume than like
for sure.
Like
a Halloween party or something.
Family get-together Halloween party.
Yeah.
Usually for the family get-together Halloween party kind of thing or friends, I'm usually doing something in either Daisy Dukes or I have a lamp costume like from the Christmas Story.
Yeah.
So I tend to wear something that's
I love it.
I run warm, so
I like how
to
you
stay
go
nice and
Daisy
cool.
Dukes like that.
Yeah.
You're either a lamp from the Christmas Story or I'm going to wear Daisy Dukes.
I go Daisy Dukes, and I have this mullet wig that I've had, I don't know how long, 15 years probably.
So you're like an old school Yamhill Carlton.
Yes, yeah. That usually finds its way out. Some Daisy Dukes, maybe like a cutoff flannel, and kind of like a Joe Dirt type of vibe.
I like it. it.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, we normally dress up themes. We've been Star Wars, we've been like the Marvel characters, we've been everything. So, but this year they're kind of starting to get older and do their own thing. So I think I'm going to be a golf caddy. I'm going to get like a white jumpsuit, and then I think Christina's going to be a golfer. So,
sweet.
Yeah, be pretty simple.
That's a good one.
That way you can like walk around and not feel weird, like around town and stuff.
Yes.
There was once I was Captain America and I had like the ripped suit and all that, like the muscular suit with like the mask. I was like, It was cool when they were like super little, but now our friends are like, what are you doing? They're in jeans and a t-shirt and like I'm walking around in a Captain America outfit. Like I was like,
I love it.
But yeah, this year it's gonna be caddy.
Yeah, I know. I was talking with Eli, he's 14, and I was asking him like, hey, are you gonna like, what are you going to do for Halloween? And he's like, I don't know. I think I might be over the whole dressing up thing.
Okay.
Oh, wow. We're here.
Yeah.
We're here.
Did he go through a transition? Because Rory's going through the kind of like, I still want to dress up, but it's going to be like funky or stupid. Like he got like this big sumo fat baby, like blow up the inflatable. And he's like, that'll be cool. Like all, like kind of being more silly almost makes more sense right now,
Yes. Yeah, Eli went through the same thing. He had a couple inflatable ones. I think last year he was just a giant pickle, which he's always had this weird obsession with pickles. So it's kind of funny. Pickles? He loves pickles.
Like eating them.
Like eating pickles.
Okay.
Like
pickles are good though.
And he's been obsessed with pickles. Like I don't know why or where, but it was like 7 or 8 years old. It was like everything was like pickle. He would draw pictures of pickles.
That's interesting.
So, but now I think he's just getting to that age where it's like, hey, I don't know if my friends are going to do it. Everybody gets kind of like a little more embarrassed. And it's like,
that's why the costume has to reflect like, there's a couple, I was taking some of the boys from football and they're doing Happy Gilmore. So they'll be like, one's going to be Happy Gilmore. We have a taller kid on our team that's going to be the guy that gets the nail gun to the head, like in Happy Gilmore. Those sort of things. So it's, so that they're going, I think this could be one of their last years. I still think they have the desire for the candy, but for sure. Like, you're not just going with normal clothes and asking for candy. You will dress up if you're going to earn it.
Exactly. You have to earn it.
This is not how Halloween works.
Yeah, this is not a handout.
Yeah, exactly. Earn it. I have to wear a Captain America outfit, so you've got to wear something.
Yes. Oh man, I know.
I was talking to my kids the other day, and we were. Did any of your kids follow Dude Perfect? Watch any of their
stuff?
A little
bit. Like they've watched some of it. Yeah.
So they're getting older. So I think they're like hosting this podcast now,
Okay.
And they had a millennial on, and it was really funny because they went over all the words that millennials use now. And basically the dude Perfect Guys had to guess like what it meant, like when it was like all the various terms that millennials use. And Rory was watching with me, and I was like, it would be funny to have you and me and have Rory on there and do the same thing, because I was like, it's just so hilarious. And then they flipped it and basically like said something like something effective like, what did you have to do before you brought back VCRs to the Blockbuster? Like and you had to rewind them. But he was what is that even? What is any of that? Like, I don't even know what any of that is. So it was just so interesting, like how, talking to two different generations about what we went through and what they're going through. And it was so funny because the older guys were like, our generation, their generation is so dumb, because the words, the terms they're using and the things they're using for the exact same things. They're like, why don't you just say this? Like, why do you have to make a new term for it?
None of it makes sense. I'm still trying to learn them all. Like I hear it all the time, but I'm always asking Eli.
I know.
Okay, what is that? Use that in a sentence for me so that I can actually understand what you guys are saying.
Yes.
Because it doesn't make any sense.
When I do say a term, like Rory's like, don't ever say it. Like even if I use it in the right way, the right time, he's like, don't ever do that again. It's only reserved for the millennials. Like they can't.
Right.
But I did think it'd be fun to have him on or something, or have both of our boys on and just kind of go over that stuff. So maybe we can get that set up with them.
I love that idea.
Yeah, just to lighten it up. Cora said this morning, she's like, you should have us on, because sometimes people don't want to hear about real estate. They just want to hear, like, sometimes this, like, it might appeal to kids.
That's actually
if you have
true.
us on. I was like, okay, that makes some sense. Makes some sense. So yeah, I've got my marketing directors at the house telling me what I need to do.
We're already being replaced.
I know they'll be more popular, and people will just be requesting them. Like, like I'm not letting my 8-year-old host a podcast now.
Yeah. We can just ask them real estate and mortgage questions and see what their responses would be.
That's true. Well, speaking of real estate mortgage, I just wanted we had gone over in the last couple of weeks, we went over the pre-approval process. That's one of the biggest keys to getting started on a mortgage, and the biggest hiccups that a lot of people have. I think let's jump into the next one, which I find, at least, and maybe there's one that you find different, but the appraisal process. That's when we're under contract, everything's trucking along, we've got through the inspection, everyone feels happy. And then Cody calls and says, hey, I've got to get the appraiser out there and blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
And so I think I would say that 98, 99% of the times that I've had sales, either buying and selling, it's been fine. The appraisers is fine. There always is going to be one or two, but I can't even remember that's happened. But anyways, the appraisal is a time where it's a high stress scenario, because we've already gotten through everything. We're all happy. We're all like everyone, or not happy, and everyone has conceded based on inspections a lot. And they're like, dude, if this appraisal comes in low, like I'm going to flip, or, so it does add a lot of stress towards the end. So kind of walk us through, I don't even know where to start. Like maybe you can kind of help us where to start on the appraisal. Basically, from my standpoint, the appraisal is when, the lender sends in a non-biased party that says, is this house worth the loan that we're going to loan on it for? Yep. And so it's as simple as that in my terms. And then the appraiser comes in, takes a look at the house and says, yep, we're good on that price, or no, we're off by that. So how does it all work? Like, kind of start us off.
Well, I would say your summary there is pretty much.
So we're done.
What it is. But
well, thank you guys, and tune in next week for another tidbit of information.
I will walk you through a few specifics and questions that people tend to ask.
Yeah.
So once we get the purchase contract,
and I've got a ton of questions.
Okay.
So I'll follow up with stuff.
We'll fill that gap there.
But you might see me getting mad based on recent transactions.
Right.
I'm like, why do you do this? Why did they do this?
Yeah. So we get the purchase contract. We're moving forward. We get our loan disclosures out. Once we have our loan disclosures out, which is just the initial packet of everything, it's got the numbers in there, but it also has authorizations that we can do, check all these different things. Once we have that, then we can get the appraisal ordered. And the way that the appraisal order works is we have our own appraisal department. Some companies work with appraisal management companies, or AMCs, where they just essentially contract that out. So none of what they do is in-house. And no lenders have appraisers in-house, because it does have to be a neutral third party. So what our process is we have a system that we go through. We place the order. We put in what the due date is, the expected due date. We upload the contract so the appraiser knows exactly what is being offered. If there's seller concessions, they know as much as what we know, right? And then we place the order with when we want it back, how much we're asking in fee. So we have is a pretty standard fee. It's usually about $700. That's kind of like what appraisals are going for normally. So we'll usually go in a little bit lower than that, just to see if we can get somebody to pick it up. And then usually what ends up happening, it's kind of a first come, first serve. So whatever appraiser wants it or sees it first can pick it up, and they will say, this is what we can do for a due date, and this is how much we're going to charge. And if that fits within what we're expecting and needing, then we'll just accept it. If not, then we'll say, no, that due date's too far out. We need this due date. If not, then we'll go to the next person. Or your fee is too high. That's way higher than what we were anticipating. Like, let's just put the order back out there and see if another appraiser will pick it up. Because depending on the market, like right now, it's not a super busy time. So appraisers tend to be picking stuff up quicker. Yeah. They're getting through the reports quicker, and they're doing them for less than what they normally would be because the demand is just not there like it has been in some years. So once they pick that up and do that, some appraisers do their research and comps and everything before they go out to the property. And some go out to the property early on. Talking with appraisers, it seems like it's just kind of a personal preference on what they want. Because a lot of them, again, from just conversations that I've had, they like to, I'm going to spend this day going around to all the different properties, right? So instead of doing a report and then today I'm going to go out to this property and then tomorrow I'm going to go out to this property, they're just like, I'm going to knock all these out in one day and do a lot of the paperwork side of it leading up to it. Sometimes it's hit or miss on when the appraiser goes out to the home. Say if there's a week due date, sometimes the appraiser is going to go out there that first day. Other times it's going to be like the 6th day. And then usually people are calling like, hey, I haven't heard anything from the appraiser. Do we know what's going on here? And so it's usually just kind of a preference on what the appraiser does. But then the appraiser gets the work done and they send us the report, which then tells us what they valued it at, if there are any repairs needed. And those are usually the two main points. Sometimes there'll be stuff on there. It doesn't happen very often that there's something outside of repairs. There might be some questions, but one question that does get asked a lot is, what are they looking for in the property? Yeah. And, they're not inspectors, so they're not going up on the roof. They're not crawling through the crawl space looking at stuff. They do have to peek into the crawl space, like a head and shoulders inspection, which usually just means they're going to open up the crawl space. They're going to dip their head down in there, take a few pictures, and then same thing in the attic. So they're not inspecting the home. They're just essentially walking through the home and looking at the condition just to make sure that it matches what the pictures and the listing and everything says, so that they have an actual, I physically went out to this property and viewed that it was the same way as the pictures, because we all know with AI and everything anymore. Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah, for sure. So when do you order the appraisal? This is always an issue between the agent and the lender, because the lender wants to get the appraisal ordered right away. Yeah. The agent normally wants to wait till after inspection or close to, so it's done. What's the issue with that? What's the conflict?
Yeah. I think for us, we always just want to order it as soon as possible, just because it's whatever variable could happen with it. We can see it and address it earlier. Yeah. But I usually just call whoever the buyer's agent is and just say, hey, we have what we need to get the appraisal ordered. Are you cool with getting the appraisal ordered? Is there any concerns? And usually it's one or the other. It's like, well, there's definitely some inspection stuff that we're working on, so let's hold off because I want to make sure that this stuff gets taken care of. Because if not, then they might not keep moving forward. And then other times it's like, this house is in great shape. I don't see any reason for anything to come up in the inspection or whatever. Let's just go ahead and do that. And then I just coordinate with the buyers on that to say, hey, everything looks good. Are you good if we get the appraisal ordered? And so I kind of just take the cues from everybody else that's involved. Yeah. But yeah, if it were up to me, assuming there are no concerns from an inspection standpoint, because I don't want to order it if there's if they know that there's multiple things that may need to be fixed even prior to the appraiser going out, or there's some work. Because sometimes it's this bathroom, it still needs 2 more days worth of work before it's done. So let's hold off until we know that that's completed and the appraiser doesn't go out there and see that the cabinets are missing from the bathroom.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, ideally getting it ordered as quick as we can. The turn times are not an issue. When things get really busy, that does put even more stress on getting it ordered as quick as possible, because when the turn time is 2.5 weeks, it puts a little more stress, because if we don't order it fairly early, we're looking at running into that death trap of last week of transaction, and we're waiting on clear to close. We're waiting on the appraisal, and
for sure,
hopefully not anything else, but it does add to that kind of extra stress. But we can order it at any time once the disclosures have been signed.
Okay. So it sounds like the reason you want to be careful, I guess, on the order the appraisal is there's no refund. It's like if you spend $700 to get an appraisal and the deal fails, you're done. Is it?
Yes.
Is that payment? When is that payment due? When does it come? When do you pay for the appraisal in the event that, hey, Cody orders it in day 5, day 7, they decide, they're not going through with the deal. When are you committed to those funds?
So the buyers will pay for the appraisal when we are ready to order it, but there can be a refund. So if the appraiser has not gone out to the property and we cancel it, then we'll get a refund. If they've gone out to the property but haven't submitted the report, then we'll get usually half of it back, because they didn't do the full amount of work, but they did go out to the property or they did do some work, which is why, it is important for everyone to make sure that everybody that's involved in the transaction is okay with getting the appraisal ordered at this time. Because if you do run into that situation where something does come up and the appraiser's already gone out to the property and worked up the majority, you might still have a $500 bill for an appraisal that you don't even need.
Do you get that? Do you get a partial report, or can you not? Is it only when it's fully submitted?
That's a good question. I guess you could probably ask for it. I mean, you paid for it, so you could probably get that partial report.
Yeah.
I would almost recommend at that point, you may be better off potentially just having them do the full report.
Yeah.
Because then if you do walk away and a new buyer comes in and it hasn't been more than 90 days, then that next lender can actually use that report. That lender would have to pay the buyer, essentially, or the lender, whoever paid for it.
For that.
They would have to pay for that and then have it converted over with their information, but they can still use it instead of ordering a new one. So
that's interesting. And, okay, another thing, and it's going to sound weird. Whenever an appraisal is ordered, everything comes in at value. And I'm like, dude, it makes me nervous because, and I'm not knocking any appraisers, but I'm like, how is it the fact that everything comes in at value? But they're so specific, and this is just my little rant as an agent. They're so specific on certain things. We can't lend. I'm not going to lend you on this. This house has a little paint chips in the deck, we got to get it painted, and then it comes in at value. I'm like, did you that specific value? That's what it came in at. Do you have the same issue as a lender, or is this just what appraisers do?
No,
and I don't want to overgeneralize, but it happens more often than not that it comes in at the value that we offered. Weird.
Right. Yes.
Not 10,000, not 20,000 over, under. How specific are they? Are they required to be specific, or it's been something that I have noticed the majority of the time that I've been doing this is purchase appraisals. I don't know what the number is. 95% of the time, I'm going to say, come in at the asking price. Not the list price necessarily, but the asking price. Yeah. Even when it's a $564,500, that price comes in at $565,000. 64,000. Yeah.
You're right. And you're like, come on.
Weird.
You're telling me that all the numbers that you use, all the research and everything that went into it, it came out exactly to that. And the part that gets me here too is when there's been a price drop or a price increase or seller concession or whatever, that number gets created sometimes through multiple changes that have happened, and yet it still appraises right there. That's why refinances, I feel like you get a true actual valuation on a refi because there is no contract there. We don't send them anything. They don't know what the loan amount's going to be. They don't know anything. So they're just going strictly based on, what did it sell for when it sold? What are the comps?
Yeah.
And you tend to get a much more accurate. Sometimes it's worse, but a lot of times it's actually better than what you're expecting. I had one recently, I think it was 2 months ago. The guy bought within less than a year ago. and his value went up like 50 grand on a 400 something $1,000 home in this market, which tells me the original appraisal, because I know that our market is not going up that fast.
Yes.
So it tells me that the appraiser, not to point fingers, obviously not going to say any names, but it's like, you're telling me that a year ago, this thing increased by almost 10% in a market where we're seeing price drops happening. And that to me tells me what the true value is, rather than just, I think that for an appraiser, and again, this is just my own opinion because I'm not an appraiser, I think it is them justifying the price. And I don't know what I think that they don't want to inflate the market. So if they do see that this home is actually like, this thing is valued 50,000 more than what you're paying for it, but if I value it at 50,000 more, is that going to start just kind of skyrocketing things? There's no reason for me to say that this thing is worth 50,000 more because it doesn't do anything. So I'm just going to say it's valued at what you're buying it for, and we're going to call it good. And I'm not going to be the reason that, the market goes up. That's the only thing that I can think of from a reasoning standpoint, because otherwise those numbers should not line up very often, I wouldn't think.
I know. And I think what puts a bitter taste in agents' mouth, and maybe lenders as well, is when they go the other side. We always see at value, but then the only other time, we rarely ever see, hey, your house is like 25K worth 25K more than what you're offering right now. So great that we only see the under. Like, we only see either at or under. There is no above. Like, and I think that's where people get skeptical, and we should probably have an appraiser on here to defend themselves. But because I don't want to over stereotype, but that's, I think, what people see and what agents see and what clients and buyers and sellers see is like, at value, you got me at value, or we have to battle you to get to K up because you said it was worth 25K less. You're so specific on when it's low. But you're never specific on when it's higher. Like, it's just at value. So anyways, just kind of rants on this side, but I do see buyers and sellers have frustrations with that. Especially specific exact numbers. Like, oh, that's what my house came in at, the exact number that we offered. Like, that's what, so anyways.
Yeah, it might be worth having an appraiser. I'm not sure how much they would probably be able to share.
Yeah.
But I would love to hear, what does that look like? Because it's, I don't know. Every time there's something that's just like,
and maybe they can't share it, and maybe there's more to it.
I'm sure there is.
Saying, but I just, it always gets me weirded out. But so on that note, with things that happen, say the appraisal comes in low, you guys are you hired a non-biased person. What's the process? We're 25K under. The appraiser says, nope, 25K under. That's what it is. How do we go about? Are we done, or is there a process to appeal that, or what's the next steps for buyers?
Yeah, so a couple different steps. We can do a ROV, which is a reconsideration of value, which just means that we are getting comps that were not used for the appraisal, or other, first thing we're going to do is we're going to go through the report and figure out specifically with that home, was there something missed? Did they put down, because it's been something that's happened where it didn't say that there was AC, central air, and there was, and one that shows like 4-bedroom instead of 5-bedroom. And so we kind of go through and scrub it and make sure that whatever's on there is accurate. And if it's not, then we'll bring that to their attention and see if there's a revision made from that. And then if that doesn't produce anything, then we get comps that were, so usually I would reach out to the listing agent and say, hey, here's where it came in at. Can you provide some comps maybe that you used for setting this price? And then we can compare that to what the appraiser has used. And if there's some comps on there that aren't used, we can send those into the appraiser. In my opinion, and everybody that I've worked with's opinion, they don't typically move the needle. I mean, it might, but it's going to be like a couple $1,000s, or they're just going to say, yeah, I saw those comps, but I didn't feel like they were as good as mine. So no. So you can do it. There is a process to doing it. It's not very hard. The lender can just essentially go through and produce that, usually with the help of one or both of the agents that are working on it too, to show like, hey, let's try to make our case here for why we think it's valued higher than this. But if that doesn't work, then we're at a position where we need to make up $20,000 or however much we're short. So then it's a matter of how much is the buyer putting down? because nothing might have to happen. And the buyer just says, all right, yeah, I'm fine with it. It doesn't affect my numbers because I'm putting down, $100,000, $20,000. It's really not doing much. We love the house. I don't care if it's valued for 20,000 less than what we thought. You can just move forward. Nothing changes. What'll get you is when you got somebody that's putting down, say, 5%.
Yeah.
And it comes in 20 low. Now it's got to be either the price has to drop 20 grand, the buyer has to come in with 20 grand more, maybe you split the difference, or now it might eat into your closing costs or whatever. So it kind of becomes more of like a negotiating thing again of how can we make this work with the numbers that we have. More down payment in those scenarios, most of the time just translates to, all right, does it change my numbers at all? I work it up for them. No, you're putting down way more than 20%. This doesn't give you mortgage insurance. This doesn't change your rate. You don't have to do anything different. And they're like, all right, cool. Sounds good.
Okay. But interesting. Okay. Yeah. Well, that answers a lot of the questions that we have and the concerns that buyers, I think, and sellers have with appraisers. Yeah, I think the key is obviously just keeping in touch with your lender. And that's, again, it's where those, you can get the online lender and they work perfectly if you have the perfect scenario. But if you are a cog in the wheel or just a widget that they're pumping through and you need to get a hold of them on Friday night because the deal's closing on Tuesday and your appraisal came in low, it's just, this is one of the times that we've seen both sides of the story of having that lender that gave them the best deal. And now we can't get a hold of the lender because it's weekends and they don't work weekends. And they don't.
You might get a hold of me in my Daisy Dukes.
Yes, yeah. Cody will answer on Halloween night in his Daisy Dukes if he has to. That's the difference. Having a good lender that will answer no matter what he's doing.
Yes.
Well, thanks, man. Yeah, I think those are the two bigger processes. The pre-approval. Go back in our earlier podcast. We talked about the pre-approval process, and then the appraisal process is kind of the bigger hiccup for that sort of stuff. So. But yeah, if you guys haven't already, subscribe to our Venture podcast with Joe and Cody. We're on Apple, Spotify, all the fancy ones. So
smash that like button. Isn't that what they say?
Don't. Our kids will be like, don't ever say that. I think I did that once on a video. I said smash that, and Rory was like, "What did you just say?" Like basically, like I ruined my life. Like he's like, you just
you can't come back from that.
Yeah, it's like you should just stop. Never be on social media again. It's like, bro, I'm trying to be cool here.
Yeah, like that's what everybody else says, and they have a million followers.
Why can't I say it? He's like, because you're 40s. So
yes, fair enough.
Okay, man. Well, until next time, we'll chat with you later.
Yep, sounds good. Have a good one.
See ya.
See ya.